We are back and it's time to quilt these frogs. So remember last week we had the first of 2 music fabrics. This obviously with the marching band frogs is the second. And so we're gonna use the second half. I got 4.5 yards of this total. So we can split the difference between last week's quilt and this one. So I've got to piece this together as well. And then I'm not totally sure on what color thread. I'm almost thinking black actually, because I don't want a whole lot of stitching to take away from the frogs. And then this here, I feel like could be whatever. I do have a pantograph that I think I'm gonna use for it. I don't remember the name of it, but it's actually kind of like a stipple with a little star thrown in there everywhere. And so since this green fabric has little stars on it, I think that would just be so cute and so coordinated and still let these marching little frogs do their thing and have a lot of fun. And so that is my plan currently. We will see if once I get this loaded, if that plan wildly changes, but let's go get this on the long arm. So everything's basted in for the United quilt. Our frogs are ready to march their little way to completion. And I'm gonna go with this Star Sparkle pantograph. I think it's gonna be nice. The stars will probably be a couple inches big, but that'll kind of help. And I've got the black thread, thinking that that's gonna be the best option without having green or yellow on here, so that this stays a focal and it'll all quilt out nicely. That's my hope. So I'm gonna get it all situated and then we're gonna come back to quilt real soon. So here's what we've got for our first zone, and while the black is pretty bold against the yellow and the green, it's exactly what I wanted to happen on these squares here. So it's a little give and take, but I think in the end, once it's all quilted, it's gonna look really nice. So I'm gonna keep going. Obviously, I have yet to say that I'm gonna rip this out on one of these quilts, so let's do this. We are all quilted and off the frame. You can kind of see, well, the lighting in here is a little weird, but this black on the back kind of just sinks into there, and it looks super cute on the front with these little stars kind of mixed into the meander. So now it's time to trim this all up. I got most of my excess off because this is a little snack that somebody shouldn't be eating, as we know. So I got most of the excess off. The rest of it's just going to be garbaged. And so it's time to trim this and get all ready for binding. And this is going to be such a cute binding. Hard to beat those mid-afternoon naps, huh? Just sleeping. Oh, so stretchy. Well, I'm gonna go put binding on Trixie. Well, on the quilt, not on Trixie. While you go back to sleep. Alright, so these frogs may be pretty goofy, but I think this quilt turned out so awesome. I think this was the perfect little piecing one, even though there were 96 or whatever of these little bits. I think because I've done so many Elizabeth Hartman quilts, having those little pieces from the strip piece didn't really faze me because I've done 1-inch eyeballs before. So the only thing that did faze me was spots like this where we've got little frog legs in the squares. Again, things I would have changed would have been to consider doing those as all black, but no going back now. And now we just have this little quirky little thing to laugh at it every time of these little frog bits and drums, and it's kind of like a weird I Spy, I guess. But I think this turned out really fun. I can't imagine doing this without any other kind of prints that weren't as wild and weird, and like the stars I think are just like the right kind of match that these frogs needed. And if I had done like just solids or something, I don't think it would have been as fun or kind of goofy. But I think the quilting on there ended up working out really well. The black is a little bit bolder on the accent fabrics, but the fact that it sinks in on the frogs and lets those stay kind of focal without having the thread kind of detracting and everything there, I think it just really ties it all together. The back is just black on black, so there's not a whole lot of contrast. There's no contrast because it's exactly the same, but that pop of green binding all the way around is just super fun. Get some little stars on there and kind of pulls it all together. So I'm excited for you to get the quilt drop from this and see it all come together, and some final photos of these little frogs marching their way onto their new home. So let's go take a look.